My name is Jaren Foff, and we're looking at elopement issues and prevention in long-term care assisted living facilities. So, introduction to the problem: what is elopement? How does elopement occur? What are the implications of elopement, and what is the goal of the project? So, elopement is also called wandering. It's a healthcare term that's used by assisted living facilities and long-term care facilities to describe residents who wander and leave the facilities with no purpose or notice. It's very dangerous and serious risk that virtually all long-term care facilities face. And so it usually occurs when the resident has some type of cognitive impairment like dementia. And how does elopement occur? It occurs when a resident of a facility wanders out of the facility without the knowledge of staff. What are the implications of elopement? More serious death, injury, serious injury, and any injury at all. And especially depending on the time of year, the resident is prone to weather-related injuries such as heat stroke, hypothermia. Other causes could be being hit by a car, drowning, falling down, and injuries from falling down as well. And what is the goal of the project? The goal of the project is to find effective and efficient ways to decrease the occurrence of elopement, increase staff and administrative awareness of elopement, and overall increase the safety of long-term care residents who are at risk for elopement. And looking at the literature, this is a very important topic because it really requires the effort and collaboration from all employees and even the administration, even the people who aren't frontline. And so implementation strategies also depend on the size of the facility, number of residents, state of resident cognitive impairments, abilities, and resources. So this is really taken into consideration as well. And also just the general rising number of older population people moving into geriatric care. And to decrease the risk of elopement, assisted living facilities must implement elopement reduction plans, response checklists, safety drills, risk assessments, environmental controls, surveillance systems, and specific facility layout and design, and sufficient staffing strategies. So for the reduction plan, every facility should just have an overall elopement prevention plan and practices that should be employed and practiced regularly. The word needs to be brought up often. It needs to be known what it is, what the tendencies are, and it needs to be relevant and not a new word that someone uses, because it is a very important and serious event. So frequent monitoring of individuals who are high risk, especially in the newly adjustment period. Then you have a variety of activities to be engaged and not being bored, because when the residents are bored, they tend to wander, and that's when elopement occurs. And there needs to be an electronic alert system, GPS tracking, like a wander bracelet or digital footwire. And unfortunately, if all fails, transfer them to a more secure facility. The second one is looking at the environmental controls. So the physical plan needs to be secure. With those alarm systems, outside courtyards need to be safe. For instance, my internship, Oasis, there was a resident who eloped because they jumped the fence, so they had to make very quick changes to the fence. And I remember being in the discussion of what they could do to prevent that from happening, but also keeping the facility not looking like a prison. And so keypads for restricted access, specific doors for extra protection, testing needs to be done regularly of all these systems in order to ensure that they're working properly. So errors that need to be reported immediately and fixed immediately. So next, I looked into surveillance systems, and I really looked and focused on the Care Connect app that Oasis Dementia Care uses. And interestingly enough, the CEO of Oasis Dementia Care actually made this software and collaborated with a tech person to come up with this. And this system also has each residents' information, as you can see here, as they're charting, and it also has pictures of them so each employee can get to know them better, and it helps them to bring up facts when they are wondering, so it can help deter them. But the main part of this Care Connect app is on every tablet. There are cameras of every hallway and every space that they could think of. It's 24/7, and every time that a resident goes to a certain door, they have like a digital foot wire, and it alerts. It has really loud noise, and every time they get closer to a door, it's a more obnoxious, more blaring noise. And then when they do elope, it's this alarm, this big alarm system. So it's just added extra protection to make sure that the residents are safe. And I would like to know that administration has this as well, so that everybody is watching to make sure everyone is involved. So response checklist, it can be used alongside the mock drills. It's just a checklist that's in chronological order of when each task needs to be completed, and in the event of an elopement, this needs to be done and implemented so everyone knows what to do and everyone knows how to follow and ensure that the utmost safety is first. If you don't have a checklist and elopement happens, no one will know what to do, and it'll be chaos. And in my drill, I looked at a resistant cares response checklist. With the safety drills, there needs to be a post-drill report afterwards to go over strengths. It needs to be done routinely, performed at different shifts in order for all first, second, third shift to be able to practice this. Safety drills are really important because they, alongside with the checklist, so make sure that they are practicing it routinely and they know what to do. It's putting that paper to practice for SET. So basically the steps would be like pre-plan the date and time, come up with pseudo information, just because every employee knows the residents, they know where they're most likely to hide, so it's good if they're practicing what's going on, practicing on pseudo information. We're able to really go through every step and not plan to skip a step per se. And so use a fake stuffed animal and mannequin, and then also giving roles to employee, playing up a drill, and debriefing afterwards. And so the risk assessment and pre-admission is very important for all the employees to really be prepared with all the information they can when a resident comes in. So this would include history of elopement in all previous settings, evaluation of psychological, physical, and cognitive functions, knowing where they're at, and that journey, and also the behaviors of their wandering tendencies. It doesn't happen at a specific time of day. Is it more towards the night where they need a little more enrichment? Is there a pattern of their wandering? Is there a purpose? Is it because they're looking for food, drink, toileting? And also noting that adjustment period should be noted. It's very hard when residents are adjusted into a new setting with more prone to wandering and elopement. So the use of the layout design, this is my favorite part of my project. High traffic areas when residents, they see exits, they see people going out and they're not able to go out, and so they're really more prone to going to those doors. And so placing residents with high elopement risk closer to the nurse's station, that's where employees mainly are, at least one or two are, and so there's always eyes closer. Using these camouflage techniques that we're seeing to the right, a bookshelf, and to them they see a bookshelf, but it's really a door, and Oasis also uses this technique, and it has worked. I don't see as much traffic to this one area, and some people also use the same color paint as the walls to really, again, camouflage the doors into just their normal setting. Placement of furniture. Don't put furniture right next to an exit, because they will see that and they will wait for someone to go out and go right through. And something I've never seen before was the strategies that are outside the facility as well. So even the extra steps that if they do get out, well, here's this method and strategy that maybe they'll stop there. And so it's the bus stop to nowhere. So it's basically creating a fake bus stop right outside of the facility. So hopefully that the resident will go there and think that they will be going home, and then that's a ride to get home per se. And so sufficient staffing levels, it's pretty self-explanatory. Ways to do that is raise wages. It will really help the employees feel more appreciated and heard, and it's really what they deserve, especially after COVID. And then using staffing agencies, we've seen a really difficult time with getting employees, so using some staffing agencies to come in and help really release the burden off the frontline staff who are putting in all the hours and extra time. So those are all the methods. So going through my methods, I really didn't want any sources before the year 2000. I wanted more up-to-date, relevant information to match the state of current society. So with COVID and just today's society, and there were really no limitations on what databases I could use, just because I thought this was a really specific topic, and I was worried I wouldn't find as much information as I did. And lastly, I really wanted at least one source to be from an assisted living facility local to Evansville, and that was Oasis. So my results and findings was that with the elopement reduction plans, response checklists, and safety drills, it really ensures that all employees are knowledgeable and prepared for the instance of elopement, and it can also just be reviewed at any time. With the risk assessments, it helps the employees be prepared from day one for specific tendencies and behaviors to look out for. With the environmental controls and surveillance systems, it just adds extra protection and layers for the prevention of elopement. And the specific facility layout design, there's camouflage techniques to deter traffic to high-risk areas, and it's just using what you already have in a smarter and more efficient way. And with the sufficient staffing strategies, it's just raising wages and using staffing agencies will increase morale, turnover, or it will reduce turnover, and will have higher satisfaction, which will then increase level of care, which will then decrease risk of elopement. So recommendations to decision makers, I really said focus on raising wages for frontline staff. It'll raise morale, work satisfaction, and have better turnover. People will be more happier, in a sense, to come to work and won't go looking for other work. I think that they should require to implement elopement response plans, safety drills in all facilities, and really make sure that they're practicing these. I think that we should require to review and update elopement protection plans yearly. Again, just making sure people are knowledgeable and up to date on what to do. And lastly, I think that they should require to report high traffic areas or areas that elopement occur frequently in order to receive monetary resources to implement the strategies examined. So I think some barriers to people implementing these would be financial resources. So I think the state should really help out each facility to make sure that they do have these layers of protection to overall save, our family members. And that was all that I had. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed.